Hello and welcome to the Road to Recovery, Rhode Island Food and Drink. My name is David Dadekian with Eat Drink Rhode Island, and with me today on the panel are Kim Anderson from Plant City, Jonathan Beres from Tilly's Cheesesteaks and Tilly's Chick and Biscuits, and Michael Silva from Base and Mixer Cocktails. So welcome all of you. Thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate it. So why don't we kick right off, get right into it. Kim, why don't you start us off with a bit of an introduction of you and your business.
Kim Anderson. I co-founded and created Plant City in Providence with Matthew Penny. He's the top plant-based chef in the world out of LA. And it's the world's first plant-based food hall. We have 4 restaurants, 3 bars, indoor dining, outdoor dining, and a community cellar space, as well as some things that we've added to get through COVID, takeout window, curbside drive-through, and delivery service. So we're spinning a lot of plates.
Right. Yeah. As is everyone right now. Jonathan, want to tell us a little bit about your business?
Hey there. I just want to say thank you for having me. Nice to meet you, Michael and Kim. So we have Tilly's Cheesesteaks. We've been around for coming on 5 years now. Later this year. So we do, from scratch cheesesteaks, sandwiches, burgers, all that kind of stuff. We did open up Chicken and Biscuits earlier this year. And then we're working on Tilly's PBD, which is a delivery pickup only concept out of Providence right now.
Very cool. Thank you. And Michael, tell us about your business.
Hey guys, thank you for having me. Pleasure to meet you guys. Basically we're out of Providence. What we are a roaming cocktail program. And when we're not running our cocktail program, we sell mixer cocktail boxes where we deliver fresh cocktails right to your door every single day. We've been doing this for about 3 years now, I think.
Fantastic. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk with all of you. Your younger businesses, but still, established for a few years. But also, interestingly, you've all kind of done new things this year. I know pop-ups aren't really new for you, Michael, but I know you did one recently. I wanted to talk about how that went during these times. But Kim, why don't we start with you and Plant City and start with how the year has been going so far for you? What have the difficulties been? What has it been like doing all this during a pandemic?
Thanks, David. So we opened in June of 2019, and we got a ripe old 8 months under our belt before we were hit by COVID. And even in the first year, 16 months, I believe we've already served 465,000 guests. It's been an incredible challenge. We were crazy busy right out of the box and trying to get our feet underneath us from that, having to add the bakery and event space and more prep space in the basement. We went from 13 to 18,000 square feet just to keep the wheels on. And, just surviving that first summer, which was so exciting and successful, surviving our first fall, which comes down a little bit in the winter, and then slam right into COVID and how to survive that.
Jonathan, how about you? How's the year been going for you? And I know you opened a business during this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd already started actually working on that business in late 2019, summer 2019, late 2019. We were just kind of working on getting everybody staffed for that and getting through the winter at Tilly's, and ended up really we had a whole different concept for that location. We kind of got to the middle of COVID and we're watching beef prices and all the local foods and all what we could get, and we ended up having to change that concept to the Chicken and Biscuits concept within a couple months. So again, like Kim said, it's really this year has been about adapting, surviving, and pivoting as much as you can.
Michael, what have you been seeing? How's this year been shaping up for? I know. I don't want to say the nice way to put it, but drinking's good right now.
So for us,
it was good for you.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it was really difficult. I kind of felt like I had let the whole thing slip through my hands. But Kim, you had mentioned the word pivot, and that really has been the underlying word for all year. And, we're a roaming cocktail program. So what we really wanted to do was get people in a room together, right? Help them experience something completely new, because that's what we were doing. We were introducing people to a brand new thing. And obviously when COVID hit, we weren't able to do that. And it was like, how can we, when we're not running these programs, which were at the time were taking 3-4 months because it was a small team that we wanted, how can we get our product into people's homes when we're not running pop-ups. And, my girlfriend came up with this idea, mixer cocktails, it really is all her. And we were able to basically just bring cocktails to people's doors. But also, Base was about introducing people to the cocktail industry, and Mixer is introducing people into bartending. Because what you're really doing is you're not just pouring things into a mixture. You're grabbing every single ingredient and you're making the cocktails on your own. So with that, we were able to pivot because this was perfect. And we thought about this like before COVID, and then when COVID hit, it really got magnified. It wasn't really something that happened because of COVID, but it was really right before everything happened. So it was kind of great. And for us, it's been really good because, like you said, people are drinking right now. It's stressful times. But what they're also doing is they're learning a lot of new things. They're learning a lot of new skills. And we've been able to deliver that right to people's door. And that's been really good for us because we're, filling that gap and we're just creating this activity.
So, we've been through all these changes. We've got this winter ahead of us. How have customers been reacting this year? What's been the experience? I know it's had its ups and downs throughout the year. Why don't we keep going in the circle we've got here? Kim, do you want to start and tell us how your customers have been and what they've been doing?
Most of them, almost all of them, have been just so supportive and appreciative of being able to still have access to something that they loved. Because food is comfort, right? And so even if we're doing it a little bit differently under a tent in our parking lot, they're just so happy that we're willing to make the effort to do the work to do that. And they also appreciated our attention to safety. Like we have our servers all wear masks. We ask our guests to wear masks unless they're eating or drinking. We've got plexiglass everywhere, HEPA filters everywhere. 6,000 pairs of gloves a week. We've just done everything we could for safety. People also really appreciated that because they could see it.
Jonathan, how about with your spots?
Everybody's been pretty good. Obviously, for here and there, some different comments on social media and people really telling you their opinion. That's about it. I mean, we closed down both of our dining rooms. So the doors are locked. I mean, that was the most important thing that we wanted to show was our staff, that we were being safe with them and that we weren't going to compromise on that at all. And secondary was, it's just important, like Kim said, is showing people that we're going to make that decision to keep people safe, whether it be our staff or the employees. So for the most part, everybody's been super supportive.
Michael, how about you? What's it been like?
Our customers and our audience has been great. Despite, there's also in the middle of a pandemic happened, there was also a lot of other things happening in this country. And we were able to, I don't want to use the word capitalize, but we were able to for the first time, it kind of felt like people were finally paying attention. So that was really good this year. And with that, we were able to do a bunch of things like run a, I'm dropping the word right now. A fundraiser. We were able to raise $6,000 over the summer, and we were only able to do that with people's support. So I think that for this year, I think consumers are a lot just more conscious about how they spend their money, and people were able to do that this year, and we were able to give them an opportunity a few times every day, almost, basically. When I'm running my business, I give you an opportunity every single time to use your dollars in a lot more conscious way, and we were able to use that for us, and that was good. And customers just are, they're listening to our stories now, and stories are what makes people decide. And for us, this year has been really good because of that.
No, it's an excellent point. I think in general, local buying has been up because, not that I'm sure there's still people out there going to, the Starbucks and Chipotle's of the world. And
yeah, no doubt.
But I know from talking to farmers and small businesses that other than obviously the limitations of the pandemic and all what that has brought down, people do want to buy local. And then like you said, I think it's the importance of Black Lives Matter has been, extremely valuable to raising awareness across the board for people to try and find businesses that are Black owned and support them in these times. Kim mentioned the plexiglass and the gloves, and I know, there's all these systems that are in place now, and they're expensive. I mean, Kim, you'd said before we got on, you've spent $7,000 on plexiglass. I mean, that's, a lot of money that you shouldn't have had to spend, in a normal situation. How are you finding the added burden of expenses, and what's your feeling on what's been going on with the CARES Act and government support and things of that nature?
I mean, as far as things go, we need more help for everybody, not even just small businesses, just citizens. I think that the big thing was in the beginning, with the CARES Act, that was good. But we need somebody to really now take control of that. We definitely saw a decline in business when the federal stimulus kind of ran out, and the government couldn't figure out how to restart that or do whatever, and we'll see what happens. But I think that what has already happened has helped out a little bit. It really depends on what kind of business you are, and whether you've been able to adapt. I mean, that's really been like the pivot, adapt is, I think a lot of businesses are some are able to do it, some just said I can't do this anymore, or I won't do it, and that's fair. But it's something that's also to be seen, because I honestly believe that we're going to be back in the lockdown in the next couple of weeks anyways.
Yeah, maybe sooner than that, unfortunately. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the numbers are not looking good as they're going.
I mean, it's helpful. Whatever came our way has helped, right? So, but I think what we really need is just a clear plan on what's going to happen. And I hate to keep piggybacking off my boy here again, but we need. I think the country's going to shut down soon, and we just need it. And it's like it really is like for again, like I work in a school. I was elated to hear that the kids weren't coming in, because I don't want to keep walking into a building with so many people. And we just need everything to shut down for a few. And a perfect time, honestly, to me, would be right now. Open everything up in January. So that way we can really enjoy the holidays. Everybody can enjoy the holidays. But that's how I feel.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point. And I think, it's like not just this conversation with the three of you, but all the conversations I've had the last few weeks with different people. You say you're piggybacking on, but it's because there's a lot of shared experiences.
And that's what, again, we run our mixers. I'm not running. I'm not, as I'm very appreciative to be here, but I'm looking at my peers right now and who are, you guys right here. And it's like, we're not running a full-time restaurant, and it's affected us. And for the people who are running a full-time restaurant, it's just hats off and bravo to you, because this really is hard work. And again, and the capacity in which we do things, ours is, not to take away from anything what we're doing, ours is so much smaller. And when we were able to use that birch space for the last week of October, which we were really appreciative for, for me, it was like, wow, is this what it's like to run full time all the time? And there was just barrier after barrier after barrier, and in the middle of a pandemic. So I just want to say that you guys are doing incredible work.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Trying to keep everybody employed, just doing what I can to keep people employed. And what I would say, David, is that this state and the city needs to run a campaign hard. Citizens of the state have to go and use takeout and delivery and curbside from their favorite restaurants. They just have to. It's the only way to keep people employed. Thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs and restaurants depend on it. We just really need people to support us right now.
Right. No, it's absolutely true. My whole argument back in the spring when this first started, when I created pages for takeout and things of that nature, with our some of our officials, was you're going to be paying somehow. If you're not paying people actual grants or cash dividends to essentially cover their costs and all the expenses and things that a restaurant normally has, they're going to lay people off, and you're going to be paying unemployment. And that's it's unfortunate. It's sad. And obviously, we don't want to see that, but these are the nets we have. The safety net for all these people is unemployment insurance, and that's going to cost restaurants, in the long run. But it's going to cost the state right now, so they should be helping out as much as they possibly can.
We had some nice warm weather in the fall, so a lot of us were able to kind of limp through. But with the cold weather last week, the rain, the snow this week, it's going to get really, really hard really, really fast. And David, I'm really sorry to say, I think there's going to be a lot of restaurants that go out, and that's really sad. It's really sad, but it's going to start very quick unless the state and the people in the state just pick up and say, you know what, not in Rhode Island. We're going to go out and we're going to eat out and we're going to get this food and we're going to support these people because jobs and my favorite restaurant depends on me to get it done.
At the same time, I will say, as someone who loves and supports local restaurants as much as I possibly can, my income level has dropped dramatically, as has thousands of people's income level, and they can't afford as much as they normally would. I sat down and figured out how much I spend in restaurants in a year, and look at it this year. I'm like at 10% of what I normally would spend, and I'm just one guy. I happen to be a guy who eats a lot, but I'm still just one guy. I think you're right. I think sadly, I mean, we restaurants closed. We know places that aren't opening back up. Michael mentioned Birch, which was a fantastic place that's no longer with us. There's lots of other places that have closed. And I happen to know a few more that are closing. And
I think, what you're going to see in the city is when it's time to renew the alcohol license, some places just are not going to be able to afford it, or it's just not going to be worth it. And we're gonna see more places just close down, and that's very unfortunate. And it's almost scary because it's like you don't know who's walking through the door. You'd be like, "Bye, we're not going to do this anymore."
No, it's a very, very good point. Sadly, and Jonathan, you've got you're outside of the city. What's the feeling? In some of the suburban areas.
I mean, for us, we're super happy. Our locals keep us going. The biggest thing for us that was just that we had no answers for. There's no answers anywhere. Let's just be real. But the biggest part for us is that the college was directly affected. We are a mile from the college at our flagship location, and thankfully the locals have kept us alive. And let's just be real. Literally, this is just this is just survivability right now. For us personally as a business, I mean, we have over 40 employees between the three locations. And so I've been telling them straight up, we're just trying to keep you guys employed.
Yeah.
And like I said, the earlier was, we saw a huge decline from everybody, whether you're in the city, whether you're not, after the federal stimulus ended. That was like immediate. You saw that happen within 7 days of that ending. And that's, like you said, everybody's affected here. So, for us personally, as a business, we're just trying to make sure that employees are safe and that they're paid and that we're able to stay alive.
That's hugely important, and good thing for people to hear. I think is that that's the key. You've got to take care of these people that are your employees, because they take care of all the people out there that come to your restaurant. I mean, they're part of the hospitality.
They're the engine.
Right.
I mean, exactly. If there's no engine, then we're done.
Yeah.
I can't do it by myself. Absolutely not.
Right. None of us are getting any younger. Let's be honest. It's a lot of work. So, while on this vein, and I know it's a little different for you, Michael, than Kim and Jonathan, but what do you feel like the holidays in the winter are going to bring? And I understand that a lot of it's just guesswork, because, like Jonathan said, and we've all dealt with for the last 8-9 months, the uncertainty is the overwhelming factor here. But Kim, what does the winter and the holidays look like? You think as we move into the
I'm with Jonathan, and you said it very well. This is survival time. There will be an uptick in business for Thanksgiving. There'll be an uptick around Christmas for we have a custom catering department. We've got custom cakes and baked goods and things like that. So we'll feel some influx from that will help keep us going. But it's brass knuckles survival. Just trying to pay the bills and to keep our employees employed.
Yeah.
That's the unfortunate thing for me, is that it doesn't, at some points in the day, it doesn't feel like hospitality anymore.
Right.
And that's the really hard part for me. I've been in this business for 25 years, and that's all I've ever done. My first job was 15 in a kitchen. I've worked, no other jobs except for in the restaurant industry. And so it's so different now. And things that have happened in this year, is huge that we've kind of been talking about in the industry is this digital front and curbside, and pretty much customers having access to you almost anywhere. That was, people have been talking about that for years, and that it's going to kind of change 2025, 2030. I think COVID accelerated that by 5 years.
Definitely.
And so at least at a minimum 5 years. So I am for all of my.
No.
What's that?
Are you in favor of that, or?
It depends.
Yeah, see, that's what I want to hear. That's the perspective I want to hear from you, because like as a consumer, we want it right in our hands, but how does that affect you guys?
I think for me personally, it depends on the concept. For the concept of cheesesteaks, I think for them to be able to access and get delivery and get pickup and curbside, I think that's great. But as far as places like our friends Birch and other places, they have a whole different concept, and they're not built to be that accessible.
No.
And so that's why it hurts them, and it's not their fault.
No, not at all.
Well, and the physical structure of what you have affects what you can do. I was very lucky that I've got these 4 spots right on South Water Street that I'm able to use to create this, like literally my own drive-through. But if I didn't have that, I'd be in trouble. And I know a lot of places didn't have the physical ability to have cars drive up and safely drive off. And that's unfortunate, because it's a small thing before you open, before COVID, but now all of a sudden it's a deal maker.
Yeah, right.
So some people didn't have the physical ability to add outdoor seating. I got lucky. I had 4 parking spots in a parking lot that I put a tent over. But a lot of people didn't have that. And those are the ones that didn't make it through the summer. Now with the cold, there'll be a whole new packet of them that will not make it through the winter.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
The only thing that can get us through is curbside delivery and takeout.
Well, I was going to say, Jonathan, I know you like you said, you mentioned you're using the ghost kitchen concept for Providence. How's that experience been so far?
I missed this. You said, how's that? And I didn't catch
the ghost kitchen concept that you're working on for Providence. How does that feel so far?
I have just premonitions at this point. I've done a lot of research on them, quite a bit over the past about 1.5 to 2 years. For us going into the winter, this is kind of my winter plan, is to be able to pick, and figure out without having the overhead of, essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking any of my employees from my other 2 places and being autonomous to where if this person can work here that day and work here this day, it's another, revenue stream. We're probably about a week and a half out from opening up for that. But at the same time, it's all third-party delivery systems. So we're also being able to employ, all these gig economy, citizens that they need money too.
Yeah.
They're these people, Uber, all that, their sales have gone up because of this situation, and hopefully that works for their workers as well. We'll see, how that plays out, but. That's kind of just what we're doing. We're trying for winter. And can continue.
Something really big, Jonathan, and leave it to David to connect us, because I've never met you before. But I'm invested in Ghost Kitchens. I'm invested in Ghost Kitchens in New York, and they're tremendously successful. So why don't we chat offline, and I can maybe connect you with some folks or give you some information that I have that might help.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Very nice. And Michael, I'm sorry, you were about to say something there?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that project. If you guys could elaborate a little bit more.
Oh, it's relatively new concept. Basically, it's a kitchen, a restaurant kitchen with no front of house. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing a bit, but essentially, you just have the kitchen and you deliver or take out all the food that you produce in the kitchen without a front of the house staff.
Oh yeah, that's what like Chili's just did, right?
So it works in a big city like New York. It works in a big city like New York because there's offices and buildings that just place big, huge orders for their law offices for hundreds of sandwiches right. So you don't have to get to that from a restaurant. You can get it from a ghost kitchen, and the price is a little bit less, and they're much more in tune to that kind of service. And they're very, very successful. With COVID, it's a little bit of a challenge because there's less people in the buildings. But it's a great concept. Good for you for bringing that to Providence. I wish you the most success.
So, Michael, I just before I forget, talking about deliveries and systems like that, you've got delivery going the whole time, but are you seeing like supply chain issues with what you're doing and things of that nature when you put the boxes together?
Uh, in the beginning, it was. In the beginning, there was definitely like a lot of missteps, or it was just things were taking too long to get here. But what I've honestly seen is lately, though, that the delivery systems have kind of been like, I don't want to say almost too fast because we want things instantly, but they've been really good. It does happen a few times. We've had to run into that because we are such a small program. It is really just me and my girlfriend doing mixer cocktails, and it, like I said, we've run into it, but it hasn't been a major issue towards the end. I know in the beginning of the pandemic when people were like kind of freaking out, that was an issue, but I think it's coming in waves.
Oh, that's good to hear.
It was a huge issue for us in June, April, June, even into July. It has gotten better, but it was an absolute disaster.
Wow.
I can't even
because you're much
don't have enough time to hear about every single issue that we had. Everything from $130 cases of gloves to no to-go packaging. I was at that point traveling to every single to-go packaging place I could go during the week to try to find what I could get to be able to supply the kitchens with what they had. It was really, really bad. And that not including some of our we don't use very much of this, but any of our commodity items that got even worse during that time.
Wow.
And David, the costs of disposable packaging, which we used to do much more business in-house than out the door. And now that we're doing much more out the door, my packaging last week was $4,300.
Yeah, no, I've heard that from a lot of people is that the amount that they're buying right now is way above what anyone ever expected. So,
because we do compostable, that's 5 times more. I'm not going to go back to plastic, no matter what it costs, but it is outrageous.
Yeah, no plastic, no styrofoam. That's the way we do it as well. But I think it's funny to point out that where we were as a society even a year and a half ago, when it was everybody was up in arms about straws, and then a year later, it's like, give me everything in disposable, whatever way that we can get it. Single serving everything. It's so funny to see the dichotomy of just a year and what's happened with that.
Is true. Like Michael just said, you got to pick those battles, and it's a tricky thing to do, but you got to do it. Well, this has been a great conversation. I hope everyone who's been watching it really takes away a lot from everything the three of you have said, and like Kim said, but like we all say all the time, but get out there and order takeout, or order to-go food. Support your local places. Support businesses like all of yours. Why don't we go around and just any final words, Michael? What anything that you'd like to end with?
Continue to support your local community businesses. Continue to support Black businesses, most importantly, and everybody should just do their part and stay safe.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Hey, again, just stay safe. Really, that's what it's about. We just really want to make sure that we can be there if you want us to be there for us, but stay safe.
Thank you, Kim.
So I would echo, stay safe, support your local businesses that you want to be there in the spring. And the other thing I would add is please tip generously if you can.
Yeah.
The servers really need that funding. It's people were very, very generous in the beginning, and I understand that salaries have shrunk, but if you can afford to, please tip extra generously.
Yeah, excellent points. All very good points. Michael Silva with Base and Mixer Cocktails, Jonathan Beres with Tilly's Cheesesteaks and Chicken Biscuit, and Kim Anderson with Plant City. Thank you all very much. I'll link up all your sites and media and all that when we post this on a site. We really appreciate having all of you with your time here today. Thank you.
Thank
you.